Yeah. Oh, yeah. Two scars, one promise. We kneeled in rise. Found you in truth, not lust, not lies. Both had a past, had to die to the flesh. Too big on one when we walk circumspect. Cover you in prayer when the night get long. You my peace in the storm, my wartime song. I don't fight you now, I fight for.
I want a woman that can just know how to be a boss in the work environment. Like that. It's cold.
Alright,
My right hand is super cold. My left hand not that cold. I'm surprised you ain't cold. You ain't got no jacket on.
I
No
have
coat?
a
Oh, okay.
mountain sleep under it.
Cheating.
I cried in the car.
What's up, Israel family?
What's up?
We back. We back.
Oh, cat marriage. It's cold out here.
Got the little barn fire man. I was gonna buy a fire pit, but we had all these bricks, so I said, let's just make one. We still gonna buy one, but I'm like, we can make one in the meantime. I already know which one I'm gonna do though. It's a nice one. This fire actually been going for a minute. We started kind of later than we were supposed to start, but it is what it is. We on the porch today. On the porch, so I might hear a little traffic.
Right.
That's cool. What are you talking about today?
So, I have a topic which is why people are scared to get married young. And when we say married young, we're talking from 20 and up.
Yeah, 20 and up.
That's what we're talking.
20 and up.
So,
Yeah. So why are people scared to get married young?
Mm-hmm.
Was you scared to get married young?
No. I actually remember, I always wanted to be married. I remember being in I think I was probably a junior at that time, and it was psychology. And the teacher was going around the room asking like, "Hey, what do you see your future?" And everybody was talking about big careers and stuff like that. We got women who want to be policemen, things like that, which was fine. I mean, I didn't have anything against what they were saying. I just said my path, and they was like looking at me like, "What the heck?" So what I said was I wanted to be married and I wanted to be like a housewife, basically. I wanted to make sure, take care of the children, and then that's pretty much, do everything according to the house. I didn't say it in that term, but I said it basically like that. And it was just like, what about your career? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can work too, but that's what I actually want to do. But that's because I grew up seeing that by my grandma. Like, she was in the house. So, yeah, I remember that conversation. So,
That's not no answer.
no, it's not. That's why everybody was looking at me like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Even the teacher was like, so what you want to actually do?
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's another topic because they, a lot of times people like to take away from what, housewives actually do, which is actually a lot, so, but we could talk on that. We could talk about that another time because how long was you just a stay-at-home wife before you had a job?
Maybe like 5 years before I had a job.
It's probably like
6.
Yeah, it's probably like 6.
6 years before I had a job. Yeah. Yeah.
So you was a completely stay-at-home wife for like 6 years.
Yeah, and then first job I had to go into the office, and I was like, no, we need to, something got to change.
Yeah.
I don't like this. So finally found a work from home job. So I still consider myself a stay-at-home wife. I just, also work from home.
That's good. So what's the first
Let's get into
reason?
what you mean? Like,
A lot of people, yeah.
oh, okay.
I'm not talking
All right, so marriage versus freedom.
Mm.
You want me to read the point behind it?
Yeah.
Okay, so is marriage really the end of freedom or just a shift in priorities?
I like the way that's worded
Yeah.
because marriage it does shift the way you think, and it shifts what your priorities are supposed to be.
Right.
I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, and I don't think that takes away from freedom.
Right.
Because the next question would be freedom to do what?
Exactly.
What are you saying that you're free from, or what are you saying that you're free to do? So I think that's a important question that you should ask yourself. If you're one of those people who are scared to get married, what are you trying to be free from, or what do you want freedom to do?
Right.
Because a lot of times when people get freedoms, they typically don't do what's best for them.
Exactly. Especially in marriage.
Yeah.
Like you want to have solo girls trips to do what?
Yeah.
Without your I don't want to go. If I'm going out of town, I want to go with him. Like that's just it. I want to go. I want to have a good time with you. That's what I want to do. So why have a girls? I can see this, but the girls any day. You come over, we have our kids together, and we hanging out.
Right.
Why you need to go out of the state for that? So yeah, I feel like the freedom that they talking about is just they want to. That's that my body, my choice. I want to do whatever I want to do. Y'all probably sleeping around and everything else.
And then it's also saying that in you being a wife, that you're like, are they saying that you're being a wife, you're captive?
Right.
Like, if you're saying that you want to be free from a marriage, or free from responsibilities that come with marriage, then what are you saying about the women who are married? Are they captive? You feel like they're captive?
No.
What's the mindset behind that?
No.
Or that you heard as far as captivity and being a wife?
I mean, I think people's
Because I've
mindset
definitely
is
heard
that they feel like they captive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's what, and I feel like that's how all women pretty much see marriage if they're not in marriage for the right reasons. I'll say it like that.
Makes sense.
Because this household, we come from a biblical standpoint, so we put God first within anything. A lot of people, they don't do that. So when it comes to their marriage, they just being married just to say they're a wife, but they don't actually want to be married.
Yeah.
They don't want to be in a union together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like people say that because people say they want freedom versus marriage because they don't understand what marriage is, and they don't understand the importance of marriage and the reason behind getting married. You understand? You're supposed to get married because you're supposed to have some companionship. You don't nobody want to be single for the rest of their life, and the only way to live a proper life is to be married. Because I would also say, don't nobody want to live as a whore their whole life,
Right.
man or woman. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you're doing. You don't want to be living like that your whole life. Eventually, you come to terms like, okay, I don't want to live like that no more. Because innately, that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to settle down with one wife. You're supposed to settle down with one husband, and get married. And eventually have kids and grow and things like that. So marriage is bigger than just what people perceive it to be. But that goes back to us not knowing, or having that what's the word? Having that that like role model of seeing what marriage is. You know. But I think that goes to one of your next points, or one of your other points.
But you also said a point with that, like people don't think about settling down until that. Women should be trying to get married at a younger age because that's when we have the most potential as far as the husband, right? Don't you think so?
Yeah, a woman is at her highest value the less body she has, and the less kids she has. No kids. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I will say this as far as being scared in marriage. You're supposed to be scared to the degree that you want to do things the right way. Not scared to where it pushes you away from getting married. You're supposed to be scared to the point where, okay, I'm scared, so me being scared, I'm gonna do things the right way. I'm gonna take my time and find the partner that's right for me.
That's one of the points too.
Yeah.
That's one of the points.
What you got? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so fair from what we've seen, how family, social media, and the divorce culture shapes people's fear.
Fear from what we've seen and how divorce works. Because I speak from a man's point of view. A lot of men scared to get married, and they fear, you know, that child support. That's a big thing. Especially, that's what we see in divorce court. A lot of times, you know, the kid don't end up being theirs, and they still got to get put on child support. So seeing things from that point of view, it can be scary. But think about, you know, did you court the sister the right way, or did y'all just meet at a club and then bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, and now y'all got a whole kid? So you can't really fault the system of marriage or the society of marriage for that. You have to fault yourself because you chose a woman who was in a club getting drunk. Like, what else did you expect from her? What else could you expect? So
And then it was also saying like family, social media, just like how we typed into ChatGPT about the gender roles. Like if ChatGPT and a lot of people is listening to, like they actually talk to ChatGPT on a daily basis, kind of like a friendship type thing. Like they take ChatGPT by its word and they stick by it. Um, but that shows you that social media and this technology don't know everything.
well, it not that they don't know, it's just pushing an agenda.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
it's not every day, or it's not normal for you to see people promoting marriage on social media. Most of the internet is the complete opposite. Don't get married. Wait until you're 35 plus to get married, or 30 plus to get married. That's what you see. It's not necessarily promoting getting married at a young age, or I wouldn't even say young age because you're supposed to get married young. Like that's like when you're supposed to get married.
Right.
Because women, their bodies don't handle pregnancy the same when they get older as it did when they get younger.
Right.
So just based off biology alone, a woman's supposed to get married. We're supposed to get married in our youth, not when we old as hell. Not when you coming up to what they call a geriatric pregnancy. Yeah. So that's not how it's supposed to be. That don't mean you can't have kids in that, time in that stage of your life. Every woman is different, but that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not when you're supposed to settle down.
Yeah. And family. Uh, a lot of family push that narrative too. Like, don't get married, don't get married. And then when you actually find somebody and y'all get married, don't be listening to those miserable family members either. Like that, they shouldn't even be in your marriage.
A lot of times they just be projecting their fears, on you or their trauma. Yeah. Exactly, that's the perfect word.
Yeah.
To be the aunties who never got married. She been proposed. She been engaged twice though. You know what I'm saying? But she ain't never been married. You know. But somehow all niggas ain't, you know, SH. Because she dealt with a few that wasn't SH. But whose fault was that? That was your fault. And I think a lot of times it's mainly women. I say this, that they don't take accountability for their own actions. You have to take accountability for what you did. If you're a certain age and you haven't got married, but you've been engaged, there's a common denominator there. It's you. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody got something they got to change about themselves, and they just have to be willing to acknowledge that. Same thing with us. We have to acknowledge certain things about ourselves to change in order to make the marriage work. So
Grow with that marriage.
yeah,
We always grow
yeah, always
together.
should be at least.
Yeah. And then also like just looking at those examples and choosing to do different, because we've seen plenty of examples where we know not to do this within our marriage, or we know not to listen to somebody because they're doing this in their marriage,
Right.
or you got to learn from those examples, not do exactly as they're doing,
Right.
or listening to their counsel when they couldn't even do it right themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nah,
money and readiness.
money and readiness.
I know our last video
That's
we
a
talked
big one.
about who's at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think?
We wasn't homeless or nothing. I don't know. I was exaggerating a little bit, but we definitely started from the bottom. When I say start from the bottom,
Yeah.
meaning wasn't nothing given to us. My parents didn't have a whole bunch of money sitting on the side waiting up. After I graduated, to start me off with. Her grandparents and mama didn't have money to give to her. You understand? So it wasn't, it wasn't like that. And it ain't like that for most people. Most people, they got to get it how they live. They got to go work.
Right.
I had 2 jobs when I first graduated. So I had 2 jobs. And I didn't have to, because both my jobs, I had a good job. I didn't have to have 2 jobs. I was just, the job that I had in high school, I just didn't quit.
Yeah.
Because I ended up getting another job. I just didn't quit the other job. You know what I'm saying? I said, why not keep both and make good money? You know what I'm saying? So that's part of the reason why she ain't have to work, because I was, taking care of everything. This back in 2016 too, when our rent was what, $550?
Yeah.
First apartment, $550 for what? Was it 1 bedroom? It was 1 bedroom.
Yeah, 1 bedroom.
Yeah. You can't find that nowhere today.
It was a small little apartment, but it was doable.
Yeah, it was ours.
It was us.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the economy is crazy right now. You can't find no 1 bedroom for $550. And our second bedroom was even better because it was 2 bedrooms for $600.
Yeah.
And I think that was in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2017 we had got that one.
Yeah.
So when I say we started from the bottom, like that's what I mean. We had to grind from nothing. I didn't have no huge savings account. She ain't had no huge savings account. I had to make the money. You know what I'm saying? I forgot what the topic was right there.
Money and readiness.
Oh, that's what we talking about, money and readiness. So, money and readiness is a big one because that's kind of 2 different, topics or whatever. But readiness goes into knowing why you get married, knowing what to do when you get married. You know what I'm saying? Knowing who you should be in the marriage, how you should move in the marriage. But that has to come from, an outside. That has to come from an outside influence, like, not outside influence, but I'm talking about like outside of. It has to come from an inside influence. I say it like that, not an outside, inside influence. So what I mean by that is family. What have you been taught in your family? What have you been taught in the household? What have you been taught in this community that you're in? If you have a community that you're a part of. And when I say community, I mean like if you're a part of like a church community, or you know what I'm saying, or you play sports and you're in that community or whatever, just a group of people that, think alike that you're around. In your group of people, in your community, what is the talk track about marriage? Is it promoting marriage readiness, or is it promoting stay away from marriage? I feel like that's a big one as far as readiness. Just who you're around, what y'all talking about. Are they grooming you for marriage? Or are they grooming you to stay a bachelor? Or are they grooming you to stay a single woman? Or are they grooming you to be a baby mama or a baby father? You have to, pay attention of who you're around. Who is your main circle of friends? Because 9 times out of 10, whoever your circle of friends are, that's who you are. You can't separate yourself from the people that you hang around. You know, what you got as far as readiness? I'm gonna go to money next.
I like the standpoint of what you were saying as far as like how you like your family, how you was raised, things like that. Like I knew.
I want, you know what? I'll say how you was raised, but I'll also add because you may have been raised a certain way and it may have not been right. But as you got older, you understood that wasn't right, and you got around people who pushed what was right, and you started to change the way you think.
Yeah.
So I'll also add that in there. But
yeah, and that's what I was gonna actually kind of say. Like, you know, I knew that okay, the wife was supposed to clean up, cook, you know, show affection, but I didn't really see a lot of affection. You know what I mean? So, like, transferring to just us being together, things like that, and us growing up with our circle of people who we like count on or look up to as far as role models go. You change your mindset of okay, now I see when grandma did this, that wasn't right. I need to do it like this so I can actually do it the right way. So just taking from okay, like you said, taking from those examples and saying okay, this I don't supposed to be doing this. Now I got to do it like this. So I definitely, I think that's a good thing when it comes to readiness because a lot of people don't think about that until they actually get in marriage and they're like, oh shoot, I've been doing. I thought my whole thought process was completely wrong.
Right. If they willing to accept,
yeah,
that that they need to change something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you'll tell somebody, you know, and it may not be the women. I'm just saying, just be the women. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, and y'all can attest to this. Normally, a man can correct another man. They may go back and forth, they may argue, but a man can correct another man, and they'll hear each other out. Women, it's hard for them to correct each other and for them to move on, and the sister to actually acknowledge, okay, he was right, and fix it. That normally don't happen. It normally happen with brothers. We normally cuss each other out. You fat as hell, you need to go work out, and we'll be in the gym with them. But let you tell another sister she fat as hell, she need to work out. It's gonna be all hell gonna break loose. Y'all never gonna talk again. Yeah. Y'all gonna be enemies to the day y'all die. And it shouldn't be like that, but that's just how it is with women. Yeah. Money. That's a long one. The reason why I say that, it is, but it ain't. And I was just talking to a brother, a married brother, about this like a couple of days ago, and we was talking about how when you single, there should be no reason why you ain't got no money when you single. You should not be broke as hell single, because you have all the time in the world. You have no distractions to go get money. You can take all the risk you want because it doesn't affect nobody but you. You understand? So when you talk about money, all of these things go into play. A lot of times when you marry people, they think about what they should have did when they was either single or before they had kids. That's a lot of the thought process. Either when you were single, what you would have done differently to make your life better now, or when y'all was together without kids, what y'all would have done differently to affect your life now. So that's important. Making sure that stack your paper. That's it. I know people hear that all the time. But stack your money. You don't want to go into a marriage, you know, broke as hell. I'm not saying it's the end of the world, because like I said, we started from the bottom. We didn't have no money, but that's not necessarily how you want to start. If I had the choice, if I could just have whatever I wanted, if I could have it how I wanted, I would like to have some money before we got married and stuff like that. So we ain't had no honeymoon. We went to Applebee's. Yeah. We went to Applebee's as soon as we got married. That was the honeymoon. It wasn't no Turks and Caicos and you know what I'm saying? Right. So it wasn't none of that. Later on down the line we took some trips and things like that, but starting out it wasn't, day one. But that's what I'm saying. People, you want to do that though. So if that's something that you look forward to and that's something you want to do, then work hard and you say make the money that you need to make. So you ain't gotta necessarily bust your ass and And I mean, you still gonna work, but you ain't gotta bust your ass from ground zero when you get married. You know what I'm saying? Because first comes marriage and then comes kids.
Right.
You know, if you do it the right way. So, you know, have that money for when you got kids. You got a rainy day and things like that. But also, this go back to readiness and kind of money tied in both, having that community. Because how many times have we gotten things from other people, you
Yeah.
know, for the kids?
Yeah.
We've gotten clothes. What else we got? I don't know.
Clothes, like baby beds.
Yeah. You finna give away a
car seat
to a
to a
we
new.
finna give away a car seat
Yeah.
to a newlywed. They
Yeah.
finna have they got a kid and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I got
So
and I keep the items.
Yeah.
So therefore, if I know I got way too many, then I pass it down.
Yeah.
You know, and we just keep the cycle going. But there's plenty of times people just drop off bins like, hey, I don't need it. I know you got the new baby or you got a girl finally.
Yep.
Here you go. I don't need it no more.
The community is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you got
Money as like, and I like how you said like basically you were saying before you get married, like make sure you have money saved up and things like that. But like, and like if we could do it a little bit differently, you know, because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
Well, I had one job. That thing didn't last.
That was like that was when we first moved.
Right. But if we could have did it differently, you know, I would have had a job, right? But I also think that groomed me into being like the homebody and housewife that I am. I'm very content with being in the house.
Right. So I think that's important as far as you know, things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Oh yeah.
So I do appreciate. I would have liked you to work. Now that I'm thinking about it, you know, when you say you think about these things as time go on. But when I actually think about it, now that you just said that, you know, it was good that you know she stayed at home and had time with the kids early on, because now a lot of those things she don't have to try to learn how to do. You know how to do that already. Some people, you know, some women, all they know how to do is work. They don't know how to be a homemaker. They don't know how to, you know, tend to the kids. They don't know how to tend to their husband and the kids at the same time. You have that experience and that you can multitask like that, you know, because you did the housewife first, and later on you develop getting the job part.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate, you know, that.
Yeah. And I can say even with getting a job, because like I said, the first job of us being married, I did have to work in the office, you know, and people when they get like, it's like when he was like, do you feel like you're captive? Like those women feel like they're captive or whatever in their marriage. I think, is that like,
Yeah.
when people go out and they work a job, now they feel like they can have their freedom. I remember the first day of that job, I cried in the car. I remember being on the phone with you. Remember that? I was on FaceTime with you, and I cried.
Having what job?
Having the office job.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I cried in the car, and I'm like, I want to go in this place, but that's because I love being at home, and you know, you got to take sacrifices and things like that when it comes to your marriage. So if it's time to get a job, then hey, it's time to get a job.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
I cried in the car. I
Yeah.
cried in the car. I definitely did. I don't know if I either got off of FaceTime
But you
with
kept going, didn't you?
I did. I did.
So that speaks to change.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, just because you have to change something, still know your place, you know? Because I knew for a fact, okay, just because I'm out in this world now, because I'm so used to being at home, I'm ready to come home. You know, I'm ready to be at home. So, yeah, you may have to make a shift change with the money when y'all get married, but just know your main focus is at home. So,
Yeah, it should be.
exactly. I used to journal about being I'll be working, because, you know, half the time I'm not on the phone, I'm not really doing nothing. So, when I'm not doing nothing, I used to literally journal about everything I wanted to do when I was back at home. So, that's just something that kept me going.
It's cold out here.
It
Fire
is
done
cold.
died down.
changing as you grow. It says, okay, I like how this one is because a lot of people do this in marriage, which is not a good way to think about your marriage. It says, changing as you grow, the fear of outgrowing your spouse.
I don't understand how you can outgrow your spouse if y'all supposed to work together and grow together. I don't know how you grow without your spouse. You know, that don't make sense. You know, you're supposed to be one flesh. So how can you outgrow yourself?
Right.
I don't get it.
Women will say, we grew apart.
Yeah.
What?
No, how about you pick the wrong man? Excuse me, you picked the wrong man. He never had ambitions to do anything. But you look past it and you miss all the red flags. You picked the red flags up and you dropped them off in the trash can as I was walking by. How about that? You didn't outgrow nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because I said like that. I use that example because it's mostly women that say they outgrew. You know what I'm saying? Men don't normally say that because as a man, we don't necessarily look for ambition out of a woman. You know what I'm saying? Not as far as that goes. Like we don't look for uh workforce skills in a woman. You know, we look for other things: submissiveness, kindness. Are you silent? You know what I'm saying? Can you cook? We look for those attributes. We don't look for, oh yeah, I want a woman making $100,000 a year. I want a woman that can just know how to be a boss in the work environment. Like that's not what men look for. I don't know who told y'all that.
Right.
That's not what we look for. We want our women to be soft, be feminine. We want her to know how to do things at home, do things around the house. Like, you know, and I'm not saying don't have ambitions and, you know, make money and things like that. I'm just saying we don't, that's not nothing that we look for. You know, as a woman, you know, for a provider male, that's things that y'all require. A man to make a certain amount of money and, you know, to have a job, you know. And I don't necessarily fault, you know, you want a man to have a job. Yeah, you need to have a job. I would argue we need to be at the same job for over a year. If he jumped from job to job to job, then maybe that's not the man that you need to be, you know, going for. You know, I'm not saying if y'all already married and times get hard and he have to jump around because I've been in that situation before where, you know, times just got hard and I had to jump around a little bit, you know, earlier on.
You down, like,
right, you didn't, yeah. So you know that speaks to, you know, something else, but you know, yeah.
I would say just looking at it as a different standpoint about we just grew apart. No, you just start looking on the other side of the room, which is why you grew apart.
Right.
Now your desire is not to your husband. You care. You just don't care about him at all because now you're looking at someone else. You're not trying to focus on your household and growing that.
Right.
So that's what I think of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you can't outgrow your spouse.
No, we grow together.
Yeah. Who you picked is who you are.
Right.
Who you picked to marry is a reflection of you. You gotta think about that. You picked this person for a reason, whether good or bad. You picked them. You know, if you think that you outgrew them or you think that they're a bad person, or you know things like that. Okay, why did that attract you? You know, it says something about your character, and it just shows you something that you may need to fix within yourself. So,
you know, people be like, they've been together so long, they starting to look alike, type thing. Like that's like a physical standpoint on it. It's like because we've been together so long, we finishing each other's sentences. We talk pretty much alike. You know, like things that you say. Of course, I'm saying it in a more feminine way, but I was like kind of like editing our videos back, and it's a lot of stuff that you'll say that I'll say, and I'm like, dang, I just said like the different phrases that you may say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of funny just seeing it, and just my opinion. It's just funny seeing it, and I'm like, dang, I just said that. That sounds like something you can do. Mm-hmm. So we grow together. You know, that's the only way to do marriage, right? Yeah. Choosing, you kind of already touched on this, Choosing the right person versus perfect timing.
What do you mean by perfect timing?
Is there ever a perfect time to get in?
Yeah, when you're ready. Yeah. I say that jokingly, but is there ever a perfect time to get married? I don't feel like there's a perfect time to get married, but I feel like you should be trying to get married by a certain point. You know, if you're a younger person, if you're older, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. But if you're young, like in your early 20s, yes, I feel like you should be trying to get married. You should have a date that you want to be married. You should have an age that you want to be married by. You know, because y'all want to be able to grow together. Y'all want to be able to have kids together and do things together. So, a lot of times, that's best done in your youth. Like I said, I can't say it enough. Closer you married in your youth.
Yeah.
You know, um, experience life together. You know, um, I think that's when perfect time is when you're young. In your 20s. Because if you're not married, then a lot of your time is really just gonna be wasted on BS activity. I'm gonna just keep it straight. If you nine times if you know people who not married and they're young, what are they doing? What's their What's their weekend activities like? You know what I'm saying? They in the club. You know what I'm saying? They doing all type of stuff they ain't got no business doing. So I mean, what you gonna do that for the next 7 years before you decide to? Oh, I want to get married now. You know what I'm saying? And then you setting yourself up for failure because if you say I'm gonna use club for example. Say you're a type of person who you go to the club. That's just your thing. Now when it's time for you to look for someone who's a partner to marry, you don't know where to look. Your environment has been the club. So how are you gonna now separate your mindset from the club now to I want this wholesome woman. You know what I'm saying? Or I want this wholesome man. Like this has been your environment. This has been all you know. Now you gonna step outside of that and try to find somebody that's, you know what I'm saying, a provider, a leader, a protector. Like, no, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. So you're supposed to be setting yourself up for greatness.
Yeah.
Club ain't it. Just saying.
And then from like the women's aspect, like during those times where you may not be married yet, so that's when we need to be learning those things of being wife, learning how to cook, learning time management. Time management is a big thing. A lot of women, their timing is horrible. We want to sleep late, wake up at 12 o'clock, get our day started, and then you're going to have a very successful and productive day. If I sleep past 7, it's like, I don't think my day is going to go.
You got a lot to do.
I don't think my day is going to go right. But, we just got to learn those things before time. So, therefore, when the husband does come, we already know not what to do. Because, honestly, once you actually get into the marriage, then that's when you see the big change in things. Because sometimes
Somebody as far as what's expected of her.
yeah, kind of. Well, not really what's it. Well, I guess so. What's expected of her, because not a lot of times you really know what happens until you're actually in that situation.
Yeah, because every marriage is different.
Exactly.
So your husband want the house ran a certain way.
Right.
So you gotta do that.
Right.
I don't eat breakfast every morning. So she don't necessarily have to wake up and have the breakfast ready by the time I wake up. It's pretty much a do you want breakfast this morning type of thing. And that just really, depend on how I feel. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It is.
Cold as well.
We got one more. So social opinions, well, we already kind of talked about this already.
Social opinions
and outside noise. So learning to protect your relationship from outside voices. I guess we can talk on it from my standpoint.
Go ahead.
I don't talk about my relationship with outside voices when it comes to people who do not have the same point of view as me. Family, old friends or acquaintance or whatever you want to call it. No, you don't get no input, and you also don't get the privilege to know anything of what's going into this household. Besides, we are growing and we are striving as a married. That's it. I'm not asking for
I,
counsel from you.
yeah, I like what you said as far as I'll let you finish your point as
Uh-huh.
far as people that have the same point of view.
Mhm.
Because if you're somebody who seeks to be married and you have friends who they don't have that point of view, then maybe you need to separate yourself from those type of people because the conversation won't be productive at all. The conversation will never be productive. They're always going to have a reason why you shouldn't get married and not why you should. But go ahead.
But even try to kind of pick things and see like, oh, is you happy? Yes, I am. You know, you don't need to know when I'm not in the best
Right.
mood either.
Right.
I don't care if I'm not in the best mood. If you call, I may either decline your call, or if I do answer, you will never know. Just because that's not, you don't want to insert those negative things inside of your marriage, because then you will mess up the balance that's already in your home.
Right.
So that's what I got on that.
Read it again. The last part.
Learning to protect your relationship from outside voices.
Outside. That also going to as far as social media, not letting social media influence your decision making in marriage. Uh, you're supposed to stand on, you know, morality, what you know is right. If you know that if your role as a husband is to lead, protect, provide, then do that. If you know that your role as a wife is to submit to your husband, you understand, to please your husband, to take care of your kids, then do that. Don't now let societal norms come in, creep into your mind and say, you know what, you don't have to tend to his every need.
Right.
You don't have to uh the kids ain't don't always gotta be under you. Sometimes he can take them. And you can tell him that. You know what I'm saying? But if you're if you always letting that negativity in your mind, then one day you're gonna act that out. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna mess up the dynamic in the marriage. It's gonna mess it up because you've allowed that to creep into your mind. You know what I'm saying? But that goes into not spending so much time on social media. Whatever you give your mind to, that's what your actions are gonna be. You know, so that goes into just you know what type of communication do are you listening to certain podcasts that
Right.
it's always talking about BS, or are you listening to podcasts like this where they promote marriage and they're talking about healthy advice to keep you married for a long time, you know what I'm saying, or to get married, you know what I'm saying? So you have to have good communication and not evil communication entering your spirit, so I feel like that's important, as well as um, yeah, I feel like that's important. It's cold.
All right,
My
y'all.
right
So
hand is super cold.
I
My
got
left
mine
hand
like
not that cold.
so thin. Like
I'm surprised you ain't cold. You ain't got no jacket on.
I
No
have
coat.
a
Oh, okay.
no, it's my bed.
Cheating.
It's okay. But if y'all got any comments or questions or anything like that, just let us know. Comment them down below so that we can be able to answer them on our next video.
If y'all got something y'all want us to talk about,
Right.
if y'all got a question that y'all want us to answer, then we'll answer it. A topic, anything, then we'll try to do our best to cover it.
Right.
So we out.
No cap
Peace.
marriage.
No cap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Two scars, one promise. We kneeled in rise. Found you in truth, not lust, not lies. Both had a past, had to die to the flesh. Too big on one when we walk circumspect. Cover you in prayer when the night get long. You my peace in the storm, my wartime song. I don't fight you now, I fight for us. Bound by the word, not feelings or lust. Built on the rock, not sand. not fear. If God in the middle, we standing here. What God joined together, ain't no power that can tear us apart.